me first and foremost say good afternoon to our friends from Anguilla. I understand that you travel with a big delegation, Mr. Premier. So we are very happy to welcome you and your entire delegation to St. Martin. 2 weeks ago, I was in Anguilla because I visit my friend, Mr. Freddie Hughes. And the question was posed to me, what's going on with your terminal building in Marigot? And I said to him, in our way of talking, soon come. So today we're here to do the honorable thing, which is to inaugurate our building. And I was told, in regards to Anguilla situation, I was told that you have the best terminal in the Caribbean. So that's how you all feel about it, and I'm happy for you. Well, let me say, though, that I'm very pleased with the structure that we have been able to put down. Okay? And let me also take this opportunity to kindly thank the Prefet and also the Minister of Transport from the French government. He's here representing the government of France, so we're happy to have you, and most importantly to know that you choose to pay us a courtesy call, a visit, when I asked and I extended an invitation to your office. You're here with us this afternoon. I'm very pleased that you honor our invitation, so thank you very much, sir. Also want to say that we recognize and accept the valuable contribution coming from the French government, but also a great percentage of the financing came from the European community. So on behalf of the government of St. Martin, I want to say thanks to the government of France and also to the European community, Brussels, for their input. And also to make it clear, make it known that once we know how to work our dossiers, our files, we can tap into a lot of structural funds coming out of the European community. So you must grow in knowledge and understanding as how the system works and how we can benefit from the European funds that are made available to St. Martin in terms of infrastructural development. And we are learning more and more how to go about that, and I'm sure that we would know how to put our dossiers together and to be very successful in our endeavors.
But you did not respond to, in the process of exploring or doing due diligence for Winair, when do you and how do you consider bringing this matter seeking approval from Parliament?
As you mentioned, when that would eventually have to come through ordinance also, but the process can start before. We're not going to go. You can't get to that point if there's no potential sale. So I don't know the chicken and egg situation, but we have to seek interest first. We have to start the process. We have to do valuation. So we are taking all the necessary steps. We need support and approval, support by the board and management. And then you also need interest of other parties. So that process has started, and the other steps can also start simultaneously.
Do you have a plan? A plan for the steps to be taken, and do you have a plan?
Yeah, so
a plan of approach?
Yes, we do have a plan. As I mentioned, we are working with a third-party entity that is working with us on this plan, yes.
I see that, thank you, Minister. I see that MP Emmanuel has a point to address. MP Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just for clarity's sake, I heard the Honourable Minister said that the initiative banking law from the central bank, is that the former Member of Parliament, Rolando Bryson's initiative banking law? Or this, because now is it two banking laws or one banking law? Which one is it? Because I know the former member came with an initiative banking law. In addition to that, which one of your colleagues would you be kicking out? Because the reference of 2x4, meaning that the coalition is 2 members each of 4 political parties. So if you make mention that they can probably get assistance to make it 2x5, are you saying that you're kicking out the Prime Minister and Minister Duran, and you and the Member of Parliament, Marlin, would be joining or willing to help the coalition to make it 2 by 5, just for clarity's sake. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Apparently, your question is considered a good question, so I'll ask the minister to address it, please.
Just for clarity, I didn't mention that was a good question. So I think we have different math here. So our maths ain't matting, as the young people that say. But and regarding the initiative law, so I'm not too sure on the law of MP Bryson. I do know that I think it did go to council advice. And I'm also an MP now also, so there is reports here that we could see on the response from the council of advice there. What we have is a initiative brought by, and I'll say this I can say, the concerns by the MP, right, the MP did bring concerns over the last few years. He was an advocate for the banking law, so I'm not going to take that away from him. But his concerns we did bring to the central bank. It wasn't a high interest for them in the beginning, but we did put pressure on them to start this process, and the central bank did do it. So the central bank did write this law, and I also had my own staff also work on this law also from cabinet and organization, and we submitted the law in January.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you. SXM, your social and health insurance is SXM, your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
First question related to the policy projects for 2024, asking what are some of them, including internal and foreign affairs and disaster management. I believe this question was already answered in my initial presentation, and the details of these can be found in the budget elucidations, but I can elaborate specifically on the disaster management aspect for 2024 key priorities under disaster management, in that the Office itself of Disaster Management, Early Warning Systems for St. Martin, fostering resilient crisis management are priorities. In addition to such, implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction and aspects of disaster management key for policy development are the Knowledge Center, Crisis Information Management, Operations, and Procedures for Disaster Management, and particularly for the EOC. Significant for disaster management is also the function book of the fire department, which I also mentioned yesterday in my presentation, which is relevant for the acquiring of the staff needed to man the Office of Disaster Management as well. With such an office, disaster management becomes a key endeavor of the government for the government of St. Martin. And from a regional and kingdom perspective, regional coordination is being fine-tuned to support crisis coordination, relief aid, and donor coordination. This also includes mapping of relevant stakeholders for prioritization of response. So that is across the board. His second question was, what training and digital skills development has the ministry focused on to improve the operations and service? This was also mentioned during the presentation. However, I'll repeat for the record, the Personnel Department plans to organize trainings for the organization in areas such as communication, middle management, project management, the HR cycle, team building, policy writing, advice writing, legislative writing, and data analysis. In addition, the Digital Government Transformation Project, DGTP, which is funded via the Trust Fund, but also receives some funding and support via the reform measures, as well as operational budget, has dedicated activities focused on training and the improvement of digital skills within the organization. The assessment of the training needs was done to determine the types of proficiency modules needed for the training. This trajectory is still ongoing, hopefully to be rolled out during 2024. Third question, what type of vehicle, hardware, and facility upgrades are planned under the capital expenditures budget? The government of St. Martin was not able to invest in its ICT hardware of the organization since 2017. There are many PCs, so personal computers, that have reached the end of their lifespan and do not function properly, requiring constant support, which is costing excessive man-hours. Currently, the PCs in the organization range from 3 to 8 years old. The direction the government has chosen to go in, being more digital, requires that the PCs be able to function with new technology and requires that they contain certain specifications to handle the new technology. As new technology continues to evolve, government needs to evolve with it. Regarding the vehicles, according to the vehicle policy, the car fleet is replaced every 5 years. As such, and in accordance with the policy, the necessary service vehicles allowing key and frontline personnel to execute their jobs must be purchased. I go to the question of Member of Parliament De Weaver, who asked for an overview, as she just elucidated a while ago. We will await the update from the Ministry of Finance to update ours, which we had also already sent on to ensure it meets the requirements of the question. Also, a question was asked on more information on the HR management systems. In response to that, the HR management system, HRM, is a custom-developed system on Microsoft Development Platform, the one we are currently using. There is an initiative to transition to an off-the-shelf solution in MS Dynamics HR, which provides a more complete HR system with functionality that best complements the needs of the P&O department.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social health insurances. life's twists, turns, and defining moments. RBC is open for all of you.
House Speaker Juliet Holness is facing backlash for what is being described as a breach of process in her letter to Clerk to the Houses of Parliament Valerie Curtis, reprimanding her for dereliction of duty regarding the handling of Auditor General reports. Kirk Wright has our first story.
In a letter to Ms. Curtis on Friday, House Speaker Juliet Holness stated that Ms. Curtis's action in writing to the Auditor General brought the Parliament into disrepute. The letter was also copied to the Director of Human Resource Management and all members of Parliament. But President of the Jamaica Civil Service Association, Teacher Clark Griffiths, believes there should be no written reprimand from any politician to a civil servant.
The politicians doesn't understand that there's a clear dichotomy between politics and administration, and that the politicians are not permitted to write to any person in administration about any particular matter, especially a matter of discipline. There's a breach of process, and that should have been channeled to the respective minister in the respective ministry, so that that can be channeled to the permanent secretary and down to the officer.
And in the letter, Mrs. Holness also recommended that a copy be placed on Ms. Curtis's personal file. Ms. Clark Griffith says this will pose a problem.
This is a disciplinary matter that was not even aired. I mean, the person doesn't get an opportunity to speak about it or to offer a response. A letter of reprimand of this nature would have to come at the end of a hearing, after hearing both sides of what happened. Not that you just go ahead and write to somebody like that. There's a process in dealing with these type of matters, and this is not the process to deal with it.
In the meantime, Ms. Curtis says she has not seen the document and therefore is unable to comment. Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
And Jamaicans for Justice Executive Director Michael Jackson says the reprimand letter sent to Clerk of the Houses of Parliament raises questions about whether the governance framework of Parliament is being followed. Ms. Jackson was speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 FM this morning.
When you look at the Constitution, Section 47, which sets out the hiring and the firing of the Clerk of the House, the hiring is based on the recommendation of the Speaker, and it is done by the Governor General. The firing of a House Speaker is done based on a two-thirds majority vote of the House of Representatives. Certainly nothing within that framework, as it is set out in our Constitution, would give the House Speaker that authority to write a letter as one would have seen, because certainly that letter reads like a disciplinary letter. And I think that has raised some red flags for us.